A new political party just popped up in Great Britain and people there are shook.
And joining us immediately with some breaking news is our political editor.
Big news here on the left of the Labour Party. Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana have confirmed they are launching a new political party.
We are the left. We are going to take all the left and we're going to win.
The question is, how many people will flock to this new party?
The party didn't even exist 5 days ago, and now it has 500,000 signups. That's more people than most political parties have in total over there. And it's all because Jeremy Corbyn, basically the British Bernie Sanders and former leader of the Labour Party, they're Democrats, has announced he's breaking away and starting his own party. Corbyn, a socialist, has vowed to build a new kind of party from the ground up, dedicated to ending the genocide in and redistributing wealth from the top to the bottom, all driven by true radical democracy. And that agenda is already resonating massively with the public. One poll has his new party tied with Labour in support from the public, potentially reshaping British politics. This is huge news, not just for progressives in the UK, but around the world. Corbyn's new party could make progressive demands non-negotiable for any establishment party, because without the growing party support, they won't get elected. But what does that mean for us here in the US? In this video, we'll break down what Corbyn is doing, why it works in European-style governments, and whether it could possibly work here. To understand how huge of a deal this is, you need to understand a little about British politics. Until very recently, Britain, much like the US, basically had two major parties, the Conservatives on the right and the Labour Party on the left. But after the 2008 financial crisis, the far right began to grow and eventually split off into its own party, Reform, led by this fascist asshat. And here's the thing, it worked. Reform forced the Conservatives to adopt their anti-immigrant Brexit agenda or risk losing elections. Now, the progressive left is trying the same strategy. At first, progressives staged a coup within Labour, getting one of their own elected leader of the party. Jeremy Corbyn took control of the Labour Party in 2015 by pledging to break with its 90s and 2000s era embrace of neoliberal policies and returning it to its socialist roots. Labour is the reason the UK has a full government-run healthcare system, the NHS, but in recent decades, much like the Democrats here, the party has drifted to the right. Its support of so-called free markets, deregulation, and free trade agreements shipped jobs overseas and devastated working-class voters, not to mention the climate. As leader of the party, Corbyn looked like he was going to reverse that trend until Labour lost the 2019 general election to the Conservatives. After that, capitalists and Labour rebelled and forced Corbyn out of the party. But Corbyn remained massively popular, winning re-election to Parliament despite being kicked out of his party. So now he's trying what the far right already proved works, splitting off and forcing the establishment to come to him. And here's why this strategy can actually work in the UK. The British government is structured totally differently than it is in the US. Rather than electing members of Congress and a president separately, voters in Great Britain only vote for their local members of the House of Commons, the lower house of the British Parliament. The party with the most seats in the House of Commons gets to form a government, and the leader of the party becomes Prime Minister of the country. There is no direct popular vote for Prime Minister like there is of a president here. That means winning local parliamentary elections is all that matters to get a majority and form a government. The government then gets to pass laws, direct the military and foreign policy, and essentially run the country carte blanche for 5 or so years. But here's the key part. If no party has enough seats to hit a majority, they have to form alliances with smaller parties to get a majority. That gives smaller parties enormous say in how a government functions, despite only getting 10 to 20% of the vote. For example, Spain has essentially the same system, and when the center-left party didn't win a majority, they were forced to make an alliance with the far-left Progressive Party and make its leader, an actual communist, the Prime Minister's number 2. And here's why Corbyn is doing this now. Much like here in the US, the Labour Party, like the Democratic Party, has been ignoring the demands of its most progressive members. Leaders of both Labour and the Democratic Party have refused to expand the social safety net and continuously play into right-wing fear-mongering about immigrants while ignoring the dangers of unfettered capitalism. By splitting off and forming his own party, Corbyn is essentially saying, you can ignore our demands, but at your own peril. But would such a move work here in the United States? It hasn't yet, but that doesn't mean it can't. First, the structural setup of most US elections severely disadvantages smaller third parties. In most US elections, whoever gets the most votes in a single round of voting is the winner. That means two left-leaning candidates would split the progressive vote, paving the way for the conservative candidate to win, much like it did with Al Gore. In 2000, Ralph Nader ran as the Green Party candidate and essentially cost Al Gore the election, giving us George W. Bush and an endless war on terror. Nader got over 97,000 votes in Florida that year, while Gore lost the state by only 537 votes. Had Gore won Florida, he would have won the presidency. We likely wouldn't have invaded Iraq or Afghanistan, and we probably would have taken global warming much more seriously. Now, to be fair, Gore losing wasn't Nader's fault, but Nader's candidacy certainly didn't help. This very real fear of splitting the left and handing power to conservatives has kept many Americans from voting for third parties, denying them any chance of picking up momentum. But it's not a surefire strategy. Bernie Sanders was discouraged from running third party in 2016 and dutifully lined up behind Hillary Clinton, and look how that turned out. Now, in Britain, the winner with the most votes after a single round of voting is also the winner there. And with the far-right Reform Party splitting the conservative vote too, it makes it less likely that a second left-wing party could hand the election to the conservatives. Then there's the money problem. Starting a third party requires not just a ton of will, but a ton of money. The UK has strict spending rules. In the 2019 general election, only about $55 million was spent across all elections. That's partly because TV and radio ads are banned. Parties get free airtime instead. That, of course, is not true in our country. In 2020, the total amount of money on all political campaigns topped $16 billion. The massive amount of money required to launch a campaign makes the established party structure even tougher to break because the party's most important practical function is fundraising. But that doesn't mean it can't be done. Under the right leadership, a third party in the US could win the presidency, like the populist candidate Ross Perot almost did in 1992. A couple of tactical missteps, like dropping out of the race and then trying to re-enter it in the months before the election, helped blow a polling lead Perot could have conceivably rode to the White House. Change could also come from the bottom up, something progressives around the country have been working on for decades. In places across the country, progressives have pushed for ranked choice voting, which doesn't just declare the person with the most votes the winner, it requires someone to earn a majority by redistributing votes until a candidate surpasses 50% support. This system eliminates the spoiler effect and gives third parties a real shot at competing. Corbyn's experiment is just beginning, but if it works in the UK, it could be the proof of concept that finally convinces American progressives to stop trying to reform the Democratic Party from within and start building something new. Because at the end of the day, Corbyn is showing the world that maybe the answer isn't begging establishment liberals to listen to you. Maybe the answer is making them irrelevant without you. For Notice News, I'm Andrew Springer.